Hi guys, welcome back to another week of Inside Major League Pickleball. We have an amazing guest on this week, but before we introduce her, first a quick thanks to our sponsors, as always, starting with ProXR, the official paddle company of Major League Pickleball, the only paddle custom fit for your grip. Knockaround, the official sunglass partner of Major League Pickleball, quality shades that won't break the bank, and Aura Organic, the official nutrition partner of MLP. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition. Today, I am one of your hosts, Michelle McMahon, alongside Tyson Apostle, reality show legend, as he is with us all week. Casey's working a big boy job, so he's not with us this week. But we are thrilled to welcome in for the second time on our podcast. She is the part owner and GM of the Vegas Night Owls. She is the Pickled Chick on Instagram, and she is Kaitlyn Kerr, here to join us. Kaitlyn, welcome back. We're so happy to have you back again. We loved you so much the first time. We just had to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Let's begin with the ownership and just how far things have evolved since you've gotten on board. We had you on here in October, in the fall. So almost on that year mark, what have you seen in terms of the progression and just let's check in. What's been going on the last couple of months for you, the last really almost year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. When I thought about this journey, when we were buying a team for the first time, I never really thought it would be as amazing as it has been. The ownership groups continue to get better. We have the DeVos family, we have the Chaffetz family coming in, creating two more fantastic organizations in the league. So I just feel like we're around great people. The league has continued to develop very nicely. All the players love to play in MLP. In the MLP format, it's by far the best format in pickleball. And if you get a chance to come to one of the tournaments, you can really feel the passion and the energy at MLP. There's truly nothing else like it.
How has it evolved? Because it hasn't been that long, but we know that pickleball is just like skyrocketing. So is it like, what were you expecting back then, and has it met or exceeded the expectations, and how?
Yeah, so I guess when we bought the team, we believed that, number one, that this was going to be the format that pickleball would succeed in. We believed in team ownership. We believed building a franchise around the team, so having a location in Vegas, building out an actual facility, being able to have our pros eventually live there and train there. Hopefully building amateur levels underneath of that with minor league pickleball to sort of build up that fan base, build up the people in the area that play pickleball, that love pickleball so much, right? There's over 30 million people in the country playing pickleball. How can we convert those players into viewers and watchers and fans of the sport? Through minor league pickleball, through building a franchise. So if each team eventually builds a physical location, builds a franchise, I mean, that was our view. And I feel like, this is Major League Pickleball just started, all these leagues, and it's just materializing. So some of it is a little bit slower. Some of it is in the works, I'd say. But I think in general, we're trending in the right direction. We're going to get to the point where all of these teams have physical locations in their areas, are building minor league teams underneath of them. And I think that's probably the most tangible experience that an amateur can have or a fan can have, is really going to a facility and feeling the energy of Major League Pickleball. I think going into the future for next year, we were debating, are we going to do it as events as we do now, like festival style, where, you go for 4 or 5 days, like this next one coming up in San Clemente, it's from Thursday to Monday with the season-ending championships on Monday. That's a 5-day span, right? That's long. That's amazing. Like if you're there and a fan, it's one of the best experiences in sport. But, to get that next level of a huge media deal, do we have to have, more regular content? Right now, we're only at 6 events this year, and there's a pretty wide time frame in between events, and it's just like dead content space. And so we're trying to think about how can we actually get more content, continue to produce more events while maintaining that high-end product that everyone loves.
How far away do you think we are from those physical facilities? Like, if you had to guess, I'm sure you might not know the answer to that, but.
So I think some teams are further along than others. For example, I know, Florida Smash is building a facility. California Black Bears have partnered with the Pickler. In Vegas, we are building out a facility too. I don't think it's public yet, but I think you're going to see whether people are going to build out their individual facilities, like dedicated only to the team, versus partnering with a pickleball concept like the Pickler, or like, for example, maybe Chicken and Pickle, or Camp Social, or there's a ton of different pickleball franchises that are popping up. Even City Pickle in New York City would be a great partner. So I think whether or not people, attach to one of the pickleball concepts or build out their own, I think we're only a year or two away.
Wow, that's awesome.
Along those lines, what was your input in being in Vegas? Was that did the team ownership have a lot of input as to where their location would be?
Yeah, so last year, if an existing team already had a geographic location associated with them, I believe that the Florida Smash was the only team to think ahead, which was actually really smart to do, so shout out to them. Then they were able to have that. Otherwise, it basically went to, you had to submit your top 3, and you had to submit your reasons for your top 3 locations. I don't know if you guys saw the announcement with Tom Brady and the Raiders, but that was a huge reason for us wanting Vegas.
Just in case.
Just in case. No. But yeah, that was a big reason for us wanting Vegas, and we just believe in the market. I think right now that the facilities, they're lacking indoor facilities in Vegas. There's great outdoor facilities, but I think taking it to the next level for that area, and obviously it's an amazing tourist attraction. So you have that combination of dedicated amateur players, tourist attraction. The major sports leagues are taking off in Vegas. You're going to have an NBA franchise in Vegas. You have the NFL, you have the NHL. I think pickleball just fits right in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you've seen the NHL, I remember when there was first in discussion of will Vegas work as a market? Is it just going to be people traveling in? It's like the people that actually live there are like, yes, we want a sports team. And it's a really, from an outsider's perspective, at first I was like, the Strip, Vegas, I don't know. And then when I really looked at it big picture, I'm like, okay, yeah, it does. I mean, it's a great place to live. People go there for retirement to live. I mean, anyways, beyond that point, you brought up the Florida Smash. I want to dive into the trades that happened. We kind of got Travis Rettenmeyer's perspective on it as a player owner. We had him on 3 weeks or so ago. And he gave his side of it of making these deals and how efficient you were with the process of, I think you were it was like a Zoom call or something. And you were like, all right, guys, this is what's happening. Okay, you have an hour. Bye. Make your decisions. Let's go. So break down that decision from your vantage point. Obviously, you guys had to make some changes. You didn't get the results that you wanted. Nothing personal, but you were one of the outspoken people of something's got to change. I'm taking my friend hat off, putting my GM hat on, and we're making moves. So walk us back through that entire process from start to finish from your perspective.
Yeah, the trades are definitely, difficult, but I sort of have to just be ruthless as the GM, and it's more results driven than anything. It's definitely not personal. I understood that after the first 2 events, our team did not succeed. We're in 11th of 12th place, and everyone can look back and say different games were so tight, but in MLP, all matches are so tight, and it comes down to just a few points here and there. And the MLP format with games of 21 rally scoring, it sort of lends it to being tighter in all games and matches. So it was tough. We had a few short breaks in the first event and in the second event as well, but at the end of the day, we're not getting those wins. So something had to change. So at the end of the tournament, I I basically knew that we had to make some changes. Now, it seems like a lot of teams prior to the first event were very risk averse. They weren't, into trading, and I really wasn't out there trying to trade my players at that point. But, there's some GMs that just like put feelers out and question, and everyone always wants to trade like their least successful player for another team's like second or first. And it's like, these trades are never going to get done if everyone's only willing to trade their worst player for everyone's best player or vice versa. It just doesn't work.
How many offers were going around like
Yeah.
that?
Oh my
It
gosh.
was like that.
You're
pretty
probably
common?
like,
So
no,
common.
thank you.
So common. I'm like, God bless Vivian David. Every single team wants Vivian David on their team because
Aw.
she's such a good player and she's so
sweet.
sweet and she's a great teammate. But I realized that I had to make a trade and I had to make multiple trades. And at the end of the day, I felt that the Florida Smash team had underperformed for the talent level that they had. And I think Travis would agree with that. Like, I really went into the trade thinking like, how can I get the best players, but I want the team to be cohesive. Like our ownership group is super competitive, but we really believe in building like a team culture. All of our players were amazing teammates. All of them are great people. Couldn't ask for better, but for some reason it just didn't work.
Well, let's name the 4 that you picked.
Okay.
Initially.
Yeah. So initially I had Bar. Vivian David was my first round pick. Bar was my second round pick. Lauren Chapman was my third round pick, and Kyle Yates was the fourth rounder.
Okay.
And yeah, we lost pretty bad in both. We didn't make it out of our bracket in either tournament, which was super bummer. And yeah, so after that, I told them like probably going to trade. And yeah, so I talked to Travis a bunch about pickleball stuff in general. We're always talking about different individuals and teams, and when I knew that he was willing to trade, I was like, okay, because there's a lot of offers coming in, like I said, and they might not all be great offers, but people were definitely looking to trade after the second event, and rightfully so. If you're not in the top couple teams, like you need to do something. And the other thing about this position that you're in after the first 2 events with only one more event before you redraft for, the challenger, there's not much risk. Like if you're not doing well, you only have one more event. And from a risk perspective, you didn't do well. For our team, we only really have upside, or we're at the same level that we're at. And then on top of that, like there's no money. Like we don't have to give players more money or less money, right? It's just trade person for person. Like a lot of people had been asking me, hey, could you do like certain round picks in the next draft for certain players, and none of that had been discussed. Like this was never a talk. It was just straight up player for player. So I feel like that makes it easier. The players aren't living in their areas yet, so that makes it easier. Like there's not a lot of cost to these trades. It's just player for player. So we traded first. We traded Vivian and Kyle Yates for Jesse Irvine and Colin Johns, and I thought that this was a good trade for both teams, and I think Travis feels the same way. Jesse Irvine's, very consistent. I'd say she can play right or left side. We'll probably play her on the left now we have Mary Brush on the right, but she can attack. She has good reach. She's one of the best dinkers in the game, and I think she'll be an amazing. Whether we put them first or second in the mix depends how we do in the first 2, but her and Colin had great results as a second mixed doubles partnership with the Florida Smash. So I'm very confident in that partnership. They're both very strategic. Colin Johns is really close friends with Bar. They live in the same area in Austin. I know they love playing together. They played together or against each other in tennis growing up. So I knew that would work out well. And he loved playing with Jesse. So the 3 of them were, fantastic. And then it was really that 4th piece, which took me a while to make the decision on. So with Lauren, I was debating whether or not to make the last trade. And Mary Brasha had been on the table from the hard 8s. And, they're pretty comparable. They definitely play different styles. But I think Lauren's more aggressive. She usually plays on the left, although she's, when we were playing MLP, she said she might like playing better on the right. Mary is definitely like a right side female. And I think with Deckel's mixed style, like she would fit better with him, which was really my ultimate decision. That's really why I made that decision in the end, to go with Mary, is because I think that Mary would fit better with Deckel's mixed. In women's, I'm unsure if Mary and Jessie would be better than Lauren and Jessie. In the case of Lauren and Jessie, I think you could actually put Lauren on the left and Jessie on the right. In the case of Jessie and Mary, I think you probably put Jessie on the left and Mary on the right. Mary's very consistent, very steady. She's a great teammate. She's going to like bring the uplifting vibes to the team, which we kind of have a dead team outside of her. Like Colin's a little like, not loud on the court, and Deckel's not.
Chill.
When Deckel starts screaming, he's playing well. Like he'll start to be like, yeah, and I'm like, yes, like that's what I need out of you, Deckel. No, but and Jessie's pretty quiet. She's a freaking competitor though, and I love that about Jessie. Our team again is I always say it, our ownership group is super competitive, and if we like see that fire within people, we're all over it, and we've seen that from Jessie from the start. So we know she's out there to grind, and she just wants to do anything to win, and so we love that about her too. So.
And Mary has been making waves in singles lately too. Made it to the championship Sunday this last weekend in the PPA.
She
dream breaker.
A lot of people say that Mary had her little breakout because she did really well. Not only she went to the finals, which was her first final in a PPA tournament this past weekend, but she also she placed 5th, I believe, in mixed with Federico, and she placed 4th in women's with her sister Maggie. So she really had a phenomenal tournament. But honestly, Lauren Chapman has had an amazing season this year as well. So it, again, very hard. I think Lauren reached the finals in women's 2 tournaments ago in the PPA. But either way, they're both playing phenomenal. They're both having great years. I'm super happy for both of them. And by the way, I still love all the players I traded. Like Vivian, all of them. Vivian, Kyle, and Lauren. Like I love all of them.
It's not hard to love a pickleball player.
That's true, but they are really good people outside even of good players. So
yeah.
Do you discuss like with the people that were with Deckel and I guess Mary with Deckel? Did you like give him a heads up of like? Did you give him any say in who you were going after, or did you take that in your own hands?
Yeah. So in this case, I did, but. To be honest, like Deckel wasn't off the table of trading either. Like he was our best performer, and in terms of results for the first 2, he had the best record within our team. But I didn't feel like, I was holding no one back at this point. I was like, I need to get the best trade, and whatever's the best option available, like I will take that. And all 4 of my players were on the table. But once I made the trade once I had this opportunity for the people that I had the opportunity for, I did consult with Deckel on that. I think as the league grows, though, I don't think that's going to be the case as much. I think a lot of teams do that with their players right now, and there is sort of this, it's a weird fuzzy line. And when I had the 3 players, so when I had Deckel, Jessie, and Colin, I talked to them about like, hey, what do you think about Lauren or Mary? And again, I sort of know all the answers that they're giving me because I've watched so much pickleball and I've interacted with them a lot. Like I know who they're friends with and who they're tight with. But honestly, the friendships are meaning less and less at this point in pro pickleball. I think someone tweeted recently, maybe it was Leia, that you're going to see more partnerships based on just fit instead of what was originally just like who's close and who can play. And there's a lot on the line now. So I think players are more like, we want to win. Doesn't matter if we're friends with them or not, which I think is really hard for some of them still today. But I think we need to win. What do we need to do to win? And so that played a little bit into the decision. But I would say at the end of the day, it's my decision, and I made the decisions on the trade. So.
Well, let's jump ahead a little bit here because I wanted to go back to you talking about no risk and changing up the team leading into this last event. what is on the line for the Night Owls here in this last event? Like, if you underperform and lose horribly, that improve your draft order going into the second half of the season? Or what are the benefits of performing well versus performing poorly?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately. Yes, for us, it's unfortunately, but your results in the first half of the season don't determine your draft order for the second half. So all Premier, just in case people that don't know, all Premier level teams will become Challenger level teams in the second half of the year, and all Challenger level teams will become Premier level teams second half of the year. So we will be going from Premier to Challenger. The way that the draft order is going to work, most likely, is it's going to be, it's not opposite. So I'm in the competition committee, and there was a big debate of whether it should be opposite of what it was. So let's say you were the first round draft pick in Premier, you would get the 12th round draft pick in Challenger. The other way that is proposed is to just do it completely random. So this past draft was just completely randomized, like, on the computer. And I think what we're going with is randomized. There's people that are for and against it. But
are you for it or against it?
It still is a very difficult decision for me to make. I see the arguments on both sides, because essentially what you're doing is, if they were in Challenger first, right? Let's say the 12th team in Challenger, 12th draft pick team in Challenger for the first half, they would get the number 1 draft pick for Premier. You're essentially handing them Premier level for 24. Because the results have showed that if you had some of the top picks in Premier, your results have showed that you've done a lot better than the people that have lower draft picks in Premier. In Challenger, the results are iffy. Like, you're not actually sure where. Now, that could also be that back in December, we didn't know all the players in Challenger. Like, there wasn't as much depth. You didn't know the great players as well. Now, like, Challenger players have shown themselves a little bit more, and there's more players coming into the game. So I actually do think if you're higher in Challenger, you may have an advantage. But there's an argument that 12th round pick, who gets a 12th and 13th, picks back to back, and then 24th and 25th back to back, could be better than having like the first, and say the 48th pick in Challenger or whatever. So yeah, it's difficult to say. I was on team opposite, because I think that that is more fair. But then there's people that said, well, if I would have known that when I drafted in Challenger, I would have picked differently, and blah, blah, blah. So there was very deep, harsh, long arguments and conversations about this. And I think that people are going to be unhappy either way. At the end of the day, you just got to draft well.
My thoughts there are, if it's reverse order, I understand that too. Like, if you had a bad season, or draft, and part of it is like you got a deep draft number, and then you get to reverse, that's great. That is fair on the outside. Like, that logically makes the most sense, but there's a lot of issues with that as well. Like, are people then tanking? What is the benefit of not tanking to get like a higher draft order if you're someone who's already like low down? And I understand, like, it's everything combined, but
your results don't impact at all. So like the first draft.
Oh, right.
So
right.
It would just literally be whatever you got in the first draft just flopped. So your results don't matter. So that's the interesting thing, where I just still don't know what is the right answer, because completely randomized, the first pick in the draft, which was the New Jersey Fives with Annalee Waters, could also get the first pick in Challenger. And and vice versa for, whoever had the first pick. I think it was the Aces. I forget who picked first in Challenger, whatever. They could have the first pick in Premier, and that seems extremely unfair to me. So I see both sides. It's very difficult. Very smart people have argued for both sides, and I see both sides. So it is what it is. It's going to be random.
Right. I don't I don't mind random for this first half, especially like what you said, like the challenger players. A lot of people weren't as familiar with these players. Plus, a lot of these players have really improved because they were relatively new to the sport.
Yeah.
They come in at challenger level. They put a lot of time and energy into improving, and now they're much, much better than they were 6 months ago. And so for that reason, too, I think it is a little bit tricky. So, yeah, I don't dislike the randomness. It's definitely going to be a bummer for someone who drafted low and then drafts low again. But
exactly.
make lemonade.
What I'm really excited to see is the movement within Premier and Challenger level. I definitely think you're going to see some movement from Challenger players coming up to Premier and Premier down to Challenger, and I think some Challenger players will even fall off. I mean, these shuffle drafts have helped, shuffle the Challenger level a little bit, but I think that will be really interesting to see how many people, get flopped, and because that's
Who are we going to see? Who are we going to see in the Challenger League that bumps up? Like just a couple names, like that's easy.
Yeah, the bump up. A bump up. I'm happy to chat about a little bit.
Yeah, let's hear the bump up.
I mean, bump up. I think there's a lot of players that are on the table. It depends what happens in the first couple rounds to see who fits the teams, right? Because you have certain styles, but in general, I think like a Pablo Tellez has done really well. A Brendan Long has certainly made a push for himself. I think even Christian Alshon, that guy is working harder than a lot of people that I know. I think on the women's side, like Eva Radikowska, I always say her name wrong. For Eva. That's why, because I used to call her Eva, and she's like, it's for Eva. And I'm like, Eva Radikowska. She did amazing. She was an all-star. Even Rachel Summers was fantastic.
Yeah.
She unfortunately will not be making this next round. Like a Tyra Black, I don't think her results have shown that she should move up to Premier yet, but she's definitely on the up. I don't know. There's a lot of players that I'm probably missing some, but there's definitely going to be. I think there's going to be some movement.
Okay, I agree, and I also am very, very interested to see who makes that jump, because I mean, it's essentially there's 48 players in the Premier League, so between the 48th and 49th, like that's the cutoff, which is not, it's not anything. So there's definitely going to be movement on that near back end. And it's got to be a little bit of pressure for these players, like these players that are slotting in right in that like little gray area in between. Like, what are they doing or what do they need to do to stand out and to make sure that they get drafted in the top 48?
Yeah, so to get into Premier level, I really think it's just results in the PPA or the APP, honestly. PPA results obviously mean a lot more than APP, but you have Andre Daescu just absolutely slaying it in APP right now. I mean, he's the person to play with. I think he's won with 3 different men's partners. I know Pesa Tioni, Kyle Yates, and I'm missing another male, maybe Rob Nunnery, I think he just won with. Mm-hmm. And then he's had success with Susanna Barr on the women's side in the APP. I don't know if he didn't play with Paris. I forget who the other one is. But like, he's had amazing success. He is the player to beat in APP. If you have the success like that, like you're going to get seen, whether it's APP or PPA. But I would say having success, getting a lot of tournament reps in the PPA and the APP, even for Challenger League, honestly. Like if you're not on if you're not on the Challenger or Premier level right now, the way to get noticed is to play against and with the top players. And it's hard. A lot of people say it's very difficult when you're first coming into pickleball because it takes a full year before you even start to see some decent partnership offers. And then you have to, like, once you get a good partner, you have to have good results with that partner too. So I think, a lot of drilling, a lot of tournament reps. And then obviously I think a very underrated thing is to just be a good person and teammate. People want to play with people that are good people and that treat you well on the court, that aren't rolling their eyes, that aren't bad energy. That's a very simple thing that you can always control, even if your dinks aren't going well, or your third shots aren't dropping perfectly into the kitchen. You can always control your attitude. So, and I think, honestly, I think that's why Vivian David everyone wanted her, because she just has a great attitude, and she's helpful, and she's positive to all of her partners.
So you're watching Challenger League right now with a clipboard marking every time somebody rolls their eyes.
No, definitely. I do have an Excel sheet with all little things next to it of like what I know about them outside of pickleball, just like how are they, you know? So when I'm drafting, I can see that. But yeah, I watch so much of the PPA. I watch way too much pickleball. Everyone around me in my life is like, Kaitlyn, you do nothing besides pickleball. I should have a better life than just pickleball all the time, but I do.
It's a good life. Pickleball's a good life. So let's touch on that a little bit here, because I'm looking at your current team of Irvine, Brasha, Barr, and Johns. And they are literally separated in talent. The men are separated by 0.02 points on DUPR. And I have to assume that in those deeper spots, they're also only separated by almost nothing. So discernible talent is now based on partnership, but also, like you said, like, who are they as a person? And I know that, like the NFL, the NBA, all of these big leagues, they have some coaching and some input on how to be a public persona, how to be a public person, how to, how to act in public. Is that something right now that you're looking at with your players, or with when you're choosing players and stuff like that?
Right now, no, because unfortunately we're doing this redraft. And so we only have players for 3 events. We can't build a brand around a player. We can't go out to sponsors and say, this is our guy. We're building the team around him. He's going to be a franchise player. Like, let's crush it. When that happens, and if that happens soon, which I think we're heading in the direction of free agency. I don't know if that's going to be 2024 or 2025, but I think we're heading that way. When we are heading that way, that will definitely be a priority. Like, 100%, without a doubt. And because of the history that our ownership group has in sports, I think we would definitely invest in players and making sure they know what they're doing in that respect. But yeah, I think just helping the players out in any way, like, we're covering a lot of their costs, or most of their costs at these tournaments. Some teams are still not, but I think even helping them, like, meet and understand what's going on in their finances. Like, I talk to these players and they're just coming in, like, this is the most money that they've ever seen in their lives. Like, most of them didn't have like crazy jobs before this, outside bearing some of them who have great jobs still and are playing pickleball too. But they're making so much money this year compared to what they've made in the past. They've never seen this money before. They don't know what to do with it. Like, they don't understand how to invest it or how to think about their future.
I bet they're spending it.
I think some of them are, but I think some of them are being smart. But just having the education on it as a financial advisor, I'm like, damn, they need help with somebody that can teach them what to be doing or how to be thinking about their life for the years to come. Because I think some of them think that we're in a pickleball bubble and they got paid a lot because the competing tour wars or whatever was going on. But I personally think it's only going to continue to go up. And so being very smart with their money and how to think about building their brand outside of pickleball is huge. I mean, Tyson McGuffin is by far and away, the epitome of, I think, what players should be doing. The guy has like 20. I don't even know how his sponsors are looking at him at this point, because he has like 25 sponsors. I'm like, everyone wants a piece of this man. He's crushing.
He has
Miller
to get
Lights.
a tattoo. He has to get a logo of every.
It cover his whole body. No, but I mean, shout out to him. He's done a great job on marketing himself. And I think some players have started to do that more. And you're seeing people hire media talent to like follow them around, create videos, do more for their sponsors. But I think that's the direction all of these players should be going in.
Yeah. What about like looking ahead to San Clemente? We kind of talked about it, but what are your expectations for your group and what you hope to see quickly with these guys that you now have together?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited for San Clemente. Our ownership group couldn't be more thrilled about it. We love the team. We think that they can really, really do well and do some damage in San Clemente. We haven't gotten out of the bracket, like I mentioned before, so we're looking forward to getting out of the bracket, and we want to win the whole thing. I don't think that we have a chance, unfortunately, to make it to the season-ending championships on Monday. But we are definitely looking to be in that championship on Sunday, and I think all the players really are looking forward to it as well. So I think we have a good group. They all like each other. They all get along really well, and they're winners. So we'll see.
So looking far into the future in 2024, what do the Las Vegas Night Owls need to do to be in premier level in 2024?
Yeah. We need to just win as much as possible now at this point.
But like, how clear is it? Like, if
so we're
like
we're 22 out of 24 after 2 events, and that's out of all teams in Premier and Challenger on the point system, and then we're 11th out of 12th in Premier. So we have, we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom of the barrel.
So what? So have you looked at it mathematically? Like, what do you need to do in this final event in the premier level, and then what does your challenger team need to do the second half of 2023?
It's still pretty difficult to tell because we only have, like I said, 2 of 4 done yet. So there's still so many variables. So I haven't done the exact math, but this last event in Premier counts just as much as a challenger level. Like, the points are the same. So we still have a lot of time, which I keep, I told our ownership group, like, we're not out of this yet. We're not out of Premier for 2024. We can't look over this last Premier event because it means just as much as any event in Challenger when we redraft. So I think our goal is just to win as much as possible. We'll definitely reevaluate after this last event in San Clemente. We're looking to hire a coach or a consultant for the group, which I had been pushing since before the draft of the first. I thought, as a GM, I know the players well. I watch a ton of pickleball, but the players don't respect my knowledge of the game. I'm an amateur that just started playing a year and a half ago. I don't know the intricacies. And I know that
you need a really strong strategist.
You do. You need somebody, and a lot of teams have hired some senior pros who, by the way, I think whoever is coaching or being the GM/coach, it's all great. But I had spoken to a few people who were like, a lot of them aren't respected, and so I'm trying to work with our ownership group and some of our current players to see like who could possibly fit that role to be like an in-game strategist. Also somebody that could help me with the challenger level draft. I want somebody to bounce ideas off of. I want somebody that's knowledgeable about the game and players coming up through the ranks. Like right now, I literally can't talk to anybody about this, right? Besides players that I know who are great, right? Like premier level players could probably help. I know that some challenger level teams had hired premier level players to be like a consultant to them during the challenger level draft, which is really interesting too. But the other thing is everyone's getting paid, like everything's out of whack. Like some GMs are making over 150,000 or 100,000, and then others are making.
Wait, hold up. Where do I apply?
Yeah, everyone's going to be like apply, and then some are making nothing, and then you have coaches that are making like stuff based on like basically how they perform. Like there's performance tiers, and then some coaches are not making anything and are just happy to be associated. So I think as this league formalizes more and as time goes on, you're going to see that come to fruition. But yeah, we're in talks with one person in particular. We're hoping that it works, but we really believe in having a coach and consultant there to help. It is really beneficial.
Yeah, interesting. So you go into San Clemente, you do very well, maybe you win. Then on paper in challenger level, you just need to be in the top 25% throughout the season probably and that would probably be enough to get into Premier level.
Yeah, if you win a tournament, it's really good. In terms of points.
How good? How much would that?
I think it's
how much
12
would that
points.
boost you?
It depends. It depends how many.
How the other people
well,
fare that
yeah,
already
like,
have points.
Yeah, the point system. It's too much to get, but basically, like, it depends on how the other teams do too. Because if, let's say that the Bay Area Breakers, they've won the last two championships, I don't even know if it's possible for them not to make the season-ending championship in Challenger.
Okay.
So, like, let's say that they're automatically into Premier already with the numbers, like, then that's like one less spot, right, for potentially someone else to come in. But if another team that is like lower than us, like, I don't know, let's say like Team Clean or something, wins the next 2 or 3 in Challenger, like, that's really bad because they're like the only team that's below us, right? They don't have a lot of points right now. So I haven't run the exact numbers, and I think after this event I will, to see in terms of Challenger, like, where we stand. But I think that there's still too many variables right now to, like, understand or to. You probably could, but I mean,
you could. I think you could get a ballpark and also, like, run a few different variables that are pretty obvious. And go from there, but still, it's like, it's always a crapshoot. It's like watching the playoffs or the build up to the playoffs and being like, these guys can still make it, but they need these 6 teams to lose on this exact day.
And there's 24 teams. Like, we're not talking about like just 12. Like, it's the full 24 that are on the same exact level playing field right now, but are in 2 different leagues. So my sort of strategy on it was finish out this last event in Premier and then really look at the numbers going into Challenger.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to something a little more, not more exciting, but if you're not a numbers person or results driven, we have the ownership event coming up in San Clemente, which I believe is happening before the 5 days of events. Is that, like, when is this ownership thing happening?
So it's the ownership sponsor tournament, and it's actually happening the Monday of the season-ending championships.
Oh, the same day.
Yes.
Okay, as the season-ending championships. And how did this come to be? Like, whose idea was this, and how much excitement was there for it?
I don't know for sure. A few people had brought it up to me. I believe it was Steve Kuhn, the legend, the daddy of pickleball, the visionary of the sport.
Is that what we're calling him now?
I call him the daddy of pickleball. I'm like, you are the daddy of pickleball. You have created this vision. He is the visionary. Actually, I have to say this real quick. Almost to the day, 1 year ago, I met Steve Kuhn. I was at the New York City Open pickleball tournament in Flushing Meadows, where the U.S. Open for tennis is played every year. I was playing in the amateur pickleball tournament, and I was talking to a Pro XR guy, sales guy, and I saw Steve Kuhn standing watching the game in front of me. And at this point, I was a pickleball-obsessed psychopath that read every single article ever published on the internet about pickleball and looked at all these videos. And I just said, I have to walk up to him and thank him for everything he's doing for the sport. I believe in MLP so badly. I want to be a part of it. So I walked up to him and I was like, I just want to thank you for everything you've done. I love this sport so much. I believe in the MLP. I think you have the best content. I think you have the best way to showcase the sport in teams. And he's like, okay, yeah, we're talking. And we exchanged numbers and we had kept in touch. Like, he was offering me like little jobs to work in MLP here and there, but I was working in finance and everything. And now a year later, I'm an owner and talk to him. I'm playing pickleball with him later today. I play pickleball with him this weekend. So truly full circle moment. But I just feel like it's awesome to like follow your passions and see something from a long way ahead and then have it develop into what it is just wild to me. But so he created this idea, I think, and every single owner is super excited about it. The only terrible thing is that it's on Father's Day. Like, so a lot of these owners that are fathers, like, can't come to the tournament because or like are coming to the first half, but like are going home to be with their families for Father's Day. But we still have the most incredible group of owners coming together for this tournament. Everyone is like crazy excited about this.
I'm so
Are we going to be able to
bummed.
watch this?
Yes.
I couldn't play in it. They extended it to us as the broadcast crew, and I
Yeah,
can't
Cam
do it.
Irwin's playing.
Next
Wait, why
time.
can't
I
you?
know. I know. I will next time. I couldn't in the morning.
I didn't even get invited.
They honestly are probably
Tyson,
like,
I
you're too
invited
good.
to
You're
take
too
my
good.
spot. Yeah, they were
I'm
threatened.
not.
Threatened
I'm
by the
not
mullet.
too good. I mean, I have the mullet, but
You do have the mullet.
is it going to be? Are we going to be able to watch it somewhere? Is it going to be streamed?
I believe so, but don't quote me on that.
You can stream it from your phone if
Yes.
not, so we can still watch it.
Yes.
And then it's running the same MLP format, or is it like some type of condensed version?
So it's sort of the same format. The only difference is there's not going to be gender splits because there's not enough female players. So dang it. I know it stinks. I'm really sad about it. But there are actually a good representation of females. There just wasn't enough to fully do it. So there's 8 teams. Every team has a player, like a pro player. That was the GM / coach. So there was a whole draft for this.
Yeah, but how did that work? So there's pro players that didn't get to act as owners. Are they feeling very sad right now?
Honestly, the pro players I've talked to that aren't GMs are very jealous. Yes.
So how did you select who got to be a GM?
That was not me. I am wiped clean of that. No one can blame me for that. No. Actually, I'm going to blame it. Richie Tuazon, I think, was the one that picked him. And I was like, how did you leave out Anna Bright as a GM? Like, she's like the coolest, best freaking person to be a GM. Like, everyone loves her. She is like America's hero. I just made that up. But like, I'm just kidding. I love her, and she's such a good personality. Why isn't she a GM? He's like, I texted her and James, and she didn't respond to the text. I'm like, freaking tell her to be it. But like Travis was super upset that he wasn't a GM, and he like skedaddled his way in, and now it's like him and Vivian David together. I'm like, you would.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
The guy that drafted himself.
Yeah.
The guy that owns a team. So he's the only owner currently that's also a GM of the owners.
Look at you, Tyson. Exactly. So there was 8.
This guy.
They got to pick their names, which some of the team names are like, I'm like, what is that? Like Ben Johns' name is like Steampunks. Like, I don't know what that is. Like,
isn't it a lifestyle?
I don't know. But like ours is
a brand of music, a style of music.
I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I was like, what is that? We have the best name. And I'm not saying that like, so we have James, we have Big Papa Jimmy, James Ignatowicz as the coach GM, and it's the Delaminated Dinkers. Like, is that the best
I heard
thing ever?
about that.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I did see that.
So good.
Paddlegate continues.
Yes. So good.
And it's not too soon for that.
I just feel like it's just got to live on. Like
it just has
and
to.
And our logo is like 2 feet. You know how he like does the split steps like a psychopath? So it's 2 shoes with fire on them. And then I don't know if you know this, but James drinks like an obscene amount of coffee. Like he'll have 10 cups in one day. I think it's normal.
No, I could have guessed that about him.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I could have easily guessed that if you were like, who in the league drinks too much coffee? I was like, James.
He's like... Blah, blah, blah.
Same breath.
But, so then it has a coffee cup in the middle with that on fire. I'm like, it's the best. I mean, I don't know if we're going to win. We are going to win because we have an amazing group. We have Brian Levine, who's amazing. Interim CEO at MLP right now. We have... Mimi Mercado, who I love so much. She has such a freaking powerful forehand. She is an owner of the Bay Area Breakers. We have Dan Tang and Leanne, I forget her last name, but anyway, Leanne and Dan are both a part of the Bouncers, Atlanta Bouncers. I haven't seen either of them play. I've seen Brian, I've seen Mimi. I'm very amped about our team. And I hear Dan's amazing. I haven't seen Leanne play, but she's a freaking competitor and fiery, and I definitely want her on my team. So I feel like we have a really good team. I'm excited for it.
Okay, so you're predicting victory.
I'm predicting victory, but I have to say, I actually did a little bit, not an analysis, but like I wrote each team name down. I wrote all the players on each team, and I was going through like what I know about each player, and the teams are so tight to me in skill level. Obviously.
Yeah, but do a lot of people have enough player experience like with DUPR and tournaments and stuff that their true level is shown?
No, but I play with a lot of these people. Like at these tournaments, I feel like I haven't played with any of the Pardo family, and I hear that they're really good. I haven't played with James Blake. I hear Amir Delic is freaking incredible. Like people are saying really James Blake and Amir Delic are like at a different level. They have that tennis background experience that's just intangible. But like Cam Irwin's great. Like I watched some video on her when she played, and I was like, she's super good. There's a team, freaking Travis didn't draft me, chose Brooks Wiley over me. I was like, I'm going to make you eat your words. But Graham.
No, that makes sense. He's an owner. Brooks is the commissioner of the league.
Exactly.
You have to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think these other people have outside like reasons that they're picking people. Like Rafa Hewitt just so happens to choose Richie Tuazan, who like loves betting on like individual games together. I'm like, there's some shady stuff going on, but no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
This is my idea. Here, Kaitlyn. Why didn't you guys wager some of the league points, the series ending points, come on, every team, every owner puts in 2 points of theirs, and then there's some. Yeah.
I'd bet on myself.
I think there's a way.
I'd bet on myself for that. I need those points. I'll bet like I'm all in.
You're everything.
Like have all of our points.
Yeah, let's double
We're
up.
gonna win them all back.
I would train harder than I ever had. I told Big Papa Ginny, I'm like, whatever you give me to do between now and then, any drill you give me, the amount of time I need to do it. I just got, Deckel told me to order this like pack that makes your grip stronger, because I'm like, I have no backhand flick. He's like, here's this pack on Amazon I use to like make my like wrist and my grip stronger to like have that flick. And I'm like, yes.
Wait, what?
Oh, Link it.
And you haven't tweeted that out or anything? I need that.
I posted it and I was like, Deckel made me do it on my Instagram one time, and so many people responded like amateur players are like, oh my God, I use that too. Oh, this is so good. Like people that are trying to get to pro, like a lot of them have used it. I'm like, this is.
Will you send it to me?
I will send it to you.
Okay. And we can follow Kaitlyn, the pickleball chick. Is that what or
pickle chick?
Pickleball.chick.
Okay.
At pickleball.chick. She's going to post it to her story. And so we can all have it, but I need that because I'm just starting to develop a backhand flick that's getting more and more powerful, but it's not like super consistent. And I need that in my life. I believe.
Since you're not in the owners tournament, I'll gladly give it to you. I'm kidding. I'll post it. Let everyone have it. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Before we close, anything else that our listeners need to know?
Honestly, I always say it to all of my friends and even my acquaintances. If you haven't been to a Major League Pickleball event and you love sports, even if you don't love pickleball yet, even if you're on the fence about going to a pro pickleball kind of thing, you're not totally convinced, go to a Major League Pickleball event. It is so much different than any other sporting event. It is 1,000 times better format than any like regular tour. Like the hype that is at each and every match it doesn't compare. Yes. Mish calls, by the way, amazing broadcaster. I always say this about Mish.
Thank you.
She has done such a good job. Her voice is incredible, and she knows the players super well and understands their tendencies. So I love hearing you and Cam and everyone's been amazing. But I love listening to you. But anyway, go to an event. San Clemente is the next one, June 15th to 19th. Come out, see what it's like. Thursday's Challenger, Friday's Premier and Challenger, Saturday's playoffs, Sunday's finals, Monday's season ending. But it's in a great location. People are my friends. Everyone's coming out to surf. Surf's right there. Yeah. Good environment. And come check it out because there's truly nothing else like it. I feel like it's just the beginning. It's just getting started. And if you're in a location in the U.S., you can check MajorLeaguePickleball.net to see what's your local team. We're the Las Vegas Night Owls in Las Vegas. And check us out. We'd love to have you come out to the tournament.
Amazing. And if you need more information, MajorLeaguePickleball.net. It has the locations. It has the links to tickets. It has any of the past broadcasts you want to watch. It's all there. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for making time and for enlightening us with all of your knowledge. Until next week, see ya.